I feel extremely pleased and honored to have been invited by the Goethe-Institut here at Calcutta, Mueller Bhavan, and giving me the opportunity to explain before you some of the ideas of Kant's moral philosophy. Actually, the groundwork has been prepared by Professor Sobhanlal Datta Gupta. He has explained very lucidly and very clearly, and to the best of our comprehension, the first part of Kant's philosophy, the vestibule of the sciences, as he called it. And my task will be to highlight Kant's moral philosophy. As I gave you the summary of my lectures and also the Xerox copy of two of Kant's essays, one very important essay, it's a pioneering essay, What is Enlightenment? In 1784, Kant wrote it. And then the other, in 1795, he wrote another pamphlet, you can say, Zum ewigen Frieden, that is, towards perpetual peace. Particularly students of political science, they read these two essays, and also our students of philosophy read. I have given you the summary, I have given you the Xerox copy, please go through them, through these essays. And since I am now dealing with Kant's moral philosophy, I shall have to say something about Kant also. The philosopher is personally present in his philosophy. This is not the case with science. In order to know Newton's science, you need not know how Newton was, what type of man he was, but in order to study his philosophy, you have to know something about the philosopher. The philosopher is very much present in his philosophy. Just as the poet is very much present in his poetry, this is the case with philosopher. So, about the position of Kant, I say, there are three great traditions in philosophy so far. These three traditions are Indian tradition, Chinese tradition, and Greek tradition. What you call Western philosophy is actually a continuation of Greek philosophy. Even Islamic philosophy, it is also Greek philosophy. And so far as Greek philosophy is concerned, you can say it has two most solid pillars. One in the ancient world, Plato, and in the modern world, Immanuel Kant. They are the two important personalities. They are the two important pillars of Western philosophy. And both Plato and Kant were system builders. There is something to reckon with. System builders means all the different branches of philosophy get in one place through one single point of view. This is the characteristics of a system. System, you know, the best example of a system, as you know, is the central nervous system. It is the best example of a system. You see, it has got one foundation, the brain is the foundation, and through the brain all the nerves flow, and because of that, the different elements of the body, the different parts of the body become one body. They become one body because of the system. So, in Kant also we have a system. In Kantian system, we have this theory of knowledge or the theory of science. That part Professor Bhattacharya has so lucidly explained to you. Then we have moral philosophy, the theory of morality. Then we have the theory of beauty, aesthetics. Then we have socio-political philosophy, ontology, and so on and so on and so on, and even history. All these elements are connected together by a single point of view. The point of view is one of enlightenment, or you can say universalism. This is the point of view of rationalism, universalism. And sometimes it is also said to be, the point of view is said to be that of Copernicanism. So you will have to explain all these different things in different contexts. And universalism, you see, as a man, what type of man Kant was, you say. So you see, he was a bachelor. He had only one old servant, lamb. Otherwise, he did not have a family. And also, but he was very social. All the time he was a social man. And one thing very important about him, he did not write any autobiography. And nobody else also had written during his lifetime any biography of the philosopher. So when the philosopher died at the age of 80 in 1804, the whole city followed his funeral. And there they wanted to erect an epitaph, write something on the epitaph. But he had no biography and nobody had written any biography about him, so they had difficulties in finding appropriate words to be inscribed on the tablet. And one of Kant's students and selected one sentence from his Critique of Practical Reason, and they are inscribed there on the tablet. It is still there in Kaliningrad now. No longer it is in it is Königsberg. There Kant says, the sum and substance of what is said there, two things wonder me most: the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. Very appropriately, Kant's students selected this sentence to be inscribed on the tablet. Indeed, these are the two wonders. How to connect the starry heaven with the moral law? This is his wondering. You see, moral laws are laws of freedom, and the laws of the starry heavens, they are inexorably necessary laws. They do not listen to anybody's request. Moral laws, on the other hand, they are necessary in some way, but you can violate them, though you ought not to violate them. That means they are imperatives. Moral laws are imperatives, whereas the laws of nature, they are inexorably necessary. But what is the connection between the two sets of laws? These are Kant's wonderings. And very appropriately, his student found that these are the two propositions to be inscribed there on the epitaph. This is one aspect of Kant's life. And I shall have to tell one or two episodes of his life. One is, Kant is dying at the age of 80. He had no family. And he was a very rational man. He was dying. So, as usual, his family physician came to see him while he was dying. On that day also, Kant tried to raise his head and stand up to greet him. The physician said, no, please, don't move, please, be quiet. And these are the last words that he uttered. Thanks God, my reason has not yet deserted me. Yes, he was in search of reason, he lived in reason, he gave reason the chance. This was the foundation of his moral philosophy of reason. One part of reason has been explained by Professor Bhattacharya, theoretical reason, and now I shall have to explain to you the practical reason. You know very well, his famous sayings, duty for the sake of duty and kingdom of ends. I refer to these two propositions of Kant's moral philosophy only to highlight the fact that in our country also the wave of Kantian philosophy reached. If you read Gandhari's Abedan, there you will see the sentence, Ki debe tumhare dharma, dukkha nabo nabo. Then why do you need dharma? Dharma dharmesya. Duty is for the sake of duty, if for nothing else. And then again in Tashet Desh, Navennath, you will find Amra Shavai Raja Amaderi, Raja. The idea is Kantian. This is the idea of the kingdom of ends. Everyone is sovereign. You are sovereign, I am sovereign, he is sovereign, everyone is sovereign. So, the kingdom of the sovereigns, no one is under anybody's subordination. Everyone is independent, everyone is sovereign. The same idea you will find in his perpetual peace. The idea of the kingdom of ends. Federation of nations, free nations. A nation is sacred to another nation, whether it is a poor nation or a rich nation, whether it is big or small, but every nation is sacred to every other nation. This is Kantian idea. And because of this concept of the perpetual peace and the kingdom of ends, Hitler and his associates denounced Kant. They did not like that people should read Kant's Critique of Practical Reason and Perpetual Peace. For them, he is the supreme, the Superman. Germany is the supreme nation and the leader is the Superman. But Kant's idea is everyone is God, every man is God. So there is no question of superiority and inferiority. Everyone is equal to everyone. Every nation is equal to every nation. And for Kant, duty is for the sake of duty. Come what may. This idea is also there in Plato. Plato wrote his Republic, and in his Republic he gave very little to the philosopher king. Philosopher king had nothing in that way material. No, he did not have any family also. The philosopher king, he did not make arrangement for his family life also. Very little family life. Only one month a year, his family life. And then the question was raised, whether the philosopher king would be happy. And Plato said, yes, he should be happy. Why? Because he knows his worth. He knows his importance. He knows his worth. He knows the mission of his life. Therefore, he should be happy. In case of Kant also. Kant was a very happy man. He died a happy man. You see, in his deathbed, he said, I must thank my doctor. And he said his last words, thanks God my reason has not yet deserted me. He knows his worth. And you see how Hitler and his people died. When the Russian army invaded Berlin, Hitler and his newly married wife, Eva Braun, they committed suicide, possibly by taking poison. Of course, there are controversies. And what about Dr. Goebbels and his wife? He had 5 or 6 children. He poisoned them all. And then he poisoned his wife and he poisoned himself. But Kant, you see how he died. So, you see, why I say all these things, there are reasons why I say all these things, why I remember. If duty is for the sake of duty, then what about man's loves, emotions, sentiment, passions, etc., etc., etc.? They also need to be satisfied. Kant strongly believes that a good man will be a happy man. He will receive his quota of happiness. Therefore, the ideal is summum bonum, virtue plus happiness. Virtue plus happiness. Not simply virtue, virtue plus happiness. And as Professor Bhattacharya has very clearly explained, that Kant's moral philosophy, in order to pass on to moral philosophy, by leaving behind his theoretical philosophy, he made a distinction between the two realms of knowledge and faith. And in the preface to the second edition of the Critique of Pure Reason, Kant clearly said, I must deny the possibility of knowledge in respect of God, freedom and immortality in order to make room for faith. Not that everything you know in the way you know that the Taj Mahal is made of marble. In a very different way you know that the Taj Mahal is beautiful. In a very different way you know. That belongs to another area. You know that the Taj Mahal is made of marble. It is plastered with marble, white marble. That is one part. But if you say that it is beautiful, then you know it in a very different way. That means man's knowledge, man's faith, etc., etc., are to be distinguished from each other. It's not that you have science in one way and moral philosophy in another way. This is Kant's way of thinking. So, let me say about Kant's moral philosophy. Let me first of all say that moral philosophy, the two things are very, very important for him: the study of himself and the moral within. And in his moral philosophy, he is concerned with the moral law. Who has given us the law? This is the question. In the Old Testament, it is said that in the beginning was the Lord, and everything was covered in darkness, or there was darkness only. Then all on a sudden God said, let there be light, and it was light. And God saw the light and exclaimed in himself, it is beautiful. In this way, he created the world in 6 divine days. In the 7th day, he took rest. You know, there are 2 versions, there are 2 stories of creation in the Old Testament, or that in the book of the Genesis. Then, the final day, he created man and woman. And then he asked them to live in paradise, that is Eden Garden. He placed them in the Eden Garden and asked them to enjoy everything that they get, but not to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge. That means they should not try to know who God is. Who God is. At least they should not try to know God's majesty. They should only obey. They should only obey. But they did not listen to, or as the Satan, that is also another God's creation, Satan incited them to eat the fruit of that tree of knowledge. They were driven out of the heaven and they were sent to the rock-strewn earth to suffer. But God did not forsake them. As the book of Genesis says, God did not forsake them. That you will be redeemed only if you place your unconditional confidence in God, belief in God, and you will achieve your salvation through sufferings. Salvation through sufferings one day. And these are the commandments. You must obey these rules of life. These are the commandments. And these commandments, as you know, the 10 commandments, they are the commandments of God. They were told to the prophet, not to man directly, and the prophet brought those messages from God to man, and man must blindly follow those rules in order to achieve salvation. This is the story of the Old Testament. But you see, for Kant, these moral commandments are divine commandments according to the Old Testament version. But for Kant, moral commandments are the commandments of reason, man's own reason, man's own inner reason, inner voice. They are the commandment not of God, but of man's own reason, you see. That's why, you see, because of this interpretation, because Kant gave this interpretation of the moral law, and the Christians, as you know, they subscribe to the Old Testament and also to the New Testament. Both of them are regarded as Bible, Old Testament as well as New Testament. But because Kant gave this interpretation of the moral law, that's why King Frederick and his minister Mueller, they passed an edict that he should not be allowed to pass on any criticism of religion, and he was asked to withhold from publication his book, that is Religion Within the Limits of Reason Alone. That book was withheld from publication. So you see, Kant also had to suffer. He promised that yes, I shall not publish this book again, but after the death of the king, he published it. After the death of the king, because he gave his promise to the king. But after the king died, he published his book. So you see, he suffered from the dictator, those who believe that Superman theory, those who subscribe to the Superman theory, they did not like his book. And the king also, under the influence of Mueller, somehow was influenced. And because you see, Kant was a messenger of Enlightenment. He published one article, what is Enlightenment? A very small article, but it is said to be the founding. It is the beginning of that movement in Europe, what is called the Enlightenment movement. What is Enlightenment? I shall explain to you. I have given you a Xerox copy of that essay. It's a very small essay, but very important essay. It was later on criticized by those who did not like, particularly I think Camus criticized, Albert Camus. Foucault criticized this concept of what is enlightenment. In this essay and other essay, Kant said that man should exercise his reason. Man is worthy animal, he is worthy of his nature only because he is reason incarnate. So he should use his reason. And there he made a distinction between two types of reason. One public use of reason and another private use of reason. Why, he said, you see, in that essay he said, you must obey the rule. He was not a supporter of despotism or what we call nowadays terrorism. He was not a supporter of. So since you live in the society, you must conform to, or at least you must obey the rules of the society. But since every man is rational, you can express your opinion, if you can give your judgment, if you can rationally explain why the laws of the land are going wrong, then people one day or other will listen to your voice. They will work. They will listen one day or other. But otherwise, since the law makes you a rational, since the law makes you a civilized man, a civilized animal, a civilized person, you cannot violate the law. You live in the society and you will violate the law, that is not permissible. That's why he makes a distinction between the public use of reason and the private use of reason. This, in one place, he also referred to Plato's one of the dialogues called Crito. Plato had written one dialogue called Crito. In the dialogue, Crito met Socrates in the prison while he was condemned to death. The next day he was to die, and Crito bribed the people in the prisoners and others, and he went straight to the place where he was lying, and he contrived a plan whereby Socrates could leave the prison and escape death penalty. But Socrates refused. And since you see, I have all these years, I have lived in Athens, and the law of the land, they have made me what I am. So I cannot violate the law. I may criticize the law. Indeed, he criticized in the judgment, in the trial, he criticized his judges for giving an unfair verdict. But he said that once the verdict is passed, I must obey the law. This is also Kantian position. You must obey the law, but you have the right to criticize. So, as a religious person, he was very religious also. So he almost obeyed. He almost accepted Christian religion, particularly Pietism. His mother's influence did work, but he also criticized the dogmas of the religion. So he thought that he was within his liberty to criticize, but he was also within his. He also was to be. He also had the obligation to obey. You obey, but if you think that things are irrational, then you criticize. This is the primary aspect. This is the primary message of that particular essay. What is enlightenment? That particular essay. What is enlightenment? Enlightenment means you have the freedom of thinking. You have the freedom of expression. You can express your views. You can rationally argue against whatever you think not rational. This is enlightenment. And the idea is that since everyone is rational, in the core of your heart, you are a rational man. You are reason incarnate. You are pure reason incarnate. Since everyone is rational, so for the time being, your emotions, sentiments and other interests may affect, may work against, but ultimately reason will win over what is irrationalism. This is the message. So Kant gave a new turn to what we call political criticism, what we call sociological criticism, etc., in his essay, what is enlightenment. What is enlightenment? And and in his moral philosophy, I come some of the ideas of his moral philosophy. In his moral philosophy, Kant said that moral laws are not the laws of God. No, they may be the laws of God because God is also a rational being. They are the laws of God only because God is a rational being. Otherwise, they are the laws of your own reason. Therefore, you must remain obedient to the moral law. Otherwise, you destroy your own worth. You destroy yourself. It is your own making. The law is reason's own law. It is the reason itself that makes the law, moral law. Therefore, the individual human being is under obligation to obey the moral law, come what may. The law may give you something material, may not give you something material, but you will have to remain obedient to the law at all costs. Otherwise, you will lose your dignity, you will lose your worth. But there are presuppositions that Kant explains. There are several places in which Kant explains that the nature is made in such a way that one day or other the man who is virtuous will receive his quota of happiness. One day or other, there is a connection between virtue and happiness. Do you prove it? Can you prove it? No, it cannot be proved. It cannot be proved like that. But it is. You will have to believe it. You will have to essentially believe it. Unless and until you believe it, that one day or other, for your being a virtuous man, you will receive your quota of happiness, you will have to believe it. Without belief, you can't do. It is a question of belief. It is a question of faith. You will have to believe that there is an Almighty Lord. One day He will connect virtue with happiness. If not in this life, in some other life. Then the question arises, do you believe in immortality? Theoretical reason does not establish that man is immortal, that there is immortal, that man will not die. Anything. Theoretical reason does not establish. But practical reason does establish. Practical reason shows that it is. Man is immortal. One day or other, he will not die. This is not the last time that he has come to this earth. He has life again and again and again and again. And finally, he will receive his full quota of virtue and happiness. This is the faith. This is belief. You will have to believe it. And why do you believe? Now Kant says. It's very important to know. Otherwise, you become so small. Unless and until you believe this, you become so small. As an object of nature, the law which come under nature, and you are, according to that law, you are also an object of nature. As an object of nature, I am not just even a bubble, less than a bubble, less than a bubble. For a very short time I am on this earth. I am not immortal, and I don't have any creativity at all. I cannot create anything of the nature. The law of the conservation of matter and energy are not my laws. They are the laws of nature. So I can't create anything. I don't have any creativity. But there is one area in which I can surpass this nature. I am more than nature. And that is in respect of my morality. These are my laws. That the laws of the society, they are my laws. I have created those laws. There I am the creator. And these laws follow from the moral laws. The laws of the society, the laws of the land, they follows from the laws of morality. And there, the law of morality is my law. There I am the creator. I have created this law. It is there I am the creator. Otherwise I am not. And my morality assures that I am immortal. And nature always threatens me. Nature always says that you are just nothing. You will very soon vanish from this earth. Nothing. You are so small an element in this world. It will just vanish, just a bubble, not even a bubble, less than a bubble. But my moral law within, that assures me that I am immortal. It's not God that assures me that I am immortal. My moral reason assures me that I am immortal. Here I have faith. So if I do not obey the moral law, if I tamper with the moral law, then I lose my own worth. I lose my own worth. I degrade myself. So in order to be big, in order to grow big, I grow big. Insofar as I feel that I am a moral being, and insofar as I feel I run away from morality, I grow small. I grow small and small and small and so on. Ultimately, I become like a wood and stone. But in view of the fact that I am a morally conscious agent, I am a moral being, I grow big and big and big and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I become immortal. So against the threat made by nature, my morality assures that I am a big man. I am something big. I am equal to God. I am immortal. That's why, because of that reason, that I am seeking for immortality, that I can say that I can lose everything, as the Upanishad says, Janahang namritasam tenang kingurcham. Here I become big, bigger and bigger and bigger. So I am ready to forget all about whether my moral things, my morality will give me something material or not. I am not very much careful about it. This is Kant's position. And then I explain only very little things from this essay, Perpetual Peace. This essay, Perpetual Peace, it was published in 1795. The essay was condemned, as I told you earlier, by Hitler and his men. This essay was condemned. And this essay also did not receive sufficient attention of the general philosophical public. It was first translated into English 100 years later, after 100 years of its publication. It was. But somehow, after the Second World War, after the First World War, League of Nations was formed. It failed. It could not deliver the good. And the Second World War started. After the Second World War, again the nations of the world, they came together and they thought of forming a federation of nations, nowadays what we call UNO. And at the moment of its formation, this article, this pamphlet of Kant was greatly acknowledged, that it is the greatest human document on peace. Greatest human document on peace. And some of the articles, there are 9 articles in it. 6 definitive articles, 6 preliminary articles, and 3 definitive articles in this essay. And then also Kant also explained why should we expect that people should live in peace. Was there peace? Was there a peaceful beginning of human life? No. But nature assures the possibility one day that people will live in peace. War is necessary, but the final end of war is not war. The final aim of war is peace. Peace, there will be peace one day. So he proposed this, perpetual peace. And this he said, now the time has come. Either we live in peace together, either we live together in peace, or we die together in conflicts. Either we live together in peace or we die together in conflicts. Because it is progressing. It is progressing. There was a time when war was absolutely essential. Because of war, the human settlement has been dispersed all over the globe. In the most inhospitable regions, you find human settlement. The Eskimos, they live in in a very inhospitable region. The Bedouins, they live in the deserts, etc. So, because of war, the human settlement has been dispersed all over the globe. But again, this is nature's design. The design is that one day people will come to live together. They will be forced to live together in peace. Peace is the ultimate end, ultimate aim of human settlements. And for peace, what we require is that the states will be, Marx proposed that all the states, later on Marx proposed that all the states will wither away and there will be one humankind only. But no, Kant said that it is a political version of his kingdom of ends. You see, the states will remain. Each state will run according to its own version, but all the states will live together peacefully and with mutual respect. One state or one nation will respect another nation just as one God respects another God. So here he gave, in the form of a treaty, he threw out this pamphlet. There are 6 preliminary articles and 3 definitive articles. Preliminary articles, it is supposed that the nations of the world are in a state of war. Then it is supposed that the nations of the world, they have ended their war and the time has come for entering into a treaty. And it is further supposed that before the war began, there was a time that was the breeding ground for the war. So when there was no war but preparations for war were going on, when the war is over, when the war is going on, there are also articles, and when the war is over, there are 6 articles, and it is said that before the war has started, the preparations are going on. Preparation, national debt, heavy national debts are incurred for the preparation of war. So one of the articles said that national debts should be forbidden for the purpose other than development. For the purpose of war, etc., no national debt should be incurred. And then every nation tried to build up the army. Very noble profession, they say. But Kant says that for the sake of future development, for the sake of future peace, national armies should be abolished, one by one. National armies should be abolished. Army should not be allowed. And again, there are intrigues. One nation tries to interfere with the proceedings of another nation, with the developments or with the administration of another nation. So one of the articles says, no, nations should not be allowed to interfere. One nation should not be allowed to interfere into the administration, into the constitution of another nation. No nation should be allowed to interfere. And then again, during war, what should be followed? His article is like this. During war, even during war, you must obey the rules of war. Even when you are at war with each other, one nation is in war with another nation, but that should be subject to rule. You find such rules specified in the Mahabharata. The rules have been specified there. During night there should be no fighting, etc., etc., etc. But all the rules are violated. In the Mahabharata, whatever rules were stated, all the rules are violated. So also in the case of war, also say it is said, sometimes said that nothing is immoral in love and war. But Kant says no. War should be fought, if at all, war should be fought according to rules. There must be rules. So what is the rule? That you cannot send assassins. You cannot contrive such plans and procedures, such as, for example, poisoning, such as, for example, defection, etc., etc. All this to be forbidden. Otherwise, you see, when the war is ended and the time for concluding a treaty or peace treaty comes in, then something will work in your mind that you have done this, this and this. So you see, it's very important so that even wars should be fought according to rules. Rules should not be violated. Then again, in the perpetual peace, there are three other treaties. These are the negative conditions. These are the negative rules. And positively speaking, there are three other articles. One, now comes Kant's moral philosophy also, that the constitution of a state should be republican. It is not necessary that you will have democracy. You can have democracy, you can have monarchy, whatever form of government you may have, that is not a matter of great concern. But what is a matter of great concern is that the laws of the land are in accordance with the wishes of the people. This is what is called republic. Republic is that the people decide for themselves what type of rules or what type of laws they want to be promulgated in the state. The laws of the land, the laws of the nation should be republican. Should be republican. And then already he had said that no nation can be inherited, no nation can be acquired, no nation can be exchanged for anything, because nation is a god. And then another definitive article is that the nations of the world should come under a federation of states or federation of nations or something like that, what is called UNO. It should come under UNO. So the overall supervision should be, UNO should be in charge of, in Kant's language, Federation of Nations should be in charge of the overall supervision of the nations. And the nations, again, no nation should be allowed to keep, you see, army. No nation should be allowed to keep standing army. No standing army is allowed. Naturally, if there is only one body to supervise all the nations, then there will be no breach of peace. One nation will not violently enter into war with another nation or interfere with another nation like that. And thirdly, very important, for our purpose also it is very important, the third article in the Kant says, cosmopolitan hospitality. Each and every person is entitled to cosmopolitan hospitality. I can go to any other state, I can visit for the purpose of commerce, for the purpose of culture, for anything. I can visit any other state, I can go anywhere, I can live anywhere without creating disturbance in that state. The laws, the hospitality should be restricted to, what is called invited guests. You are a guest in a foreign country, so you are entitled to the hospitality of a guest, but you cannot interfere like this international terrorism, etc., etc., etc. This is completely forbidden. So, I live in India and I send my army secretly to another country for creating disturbance there, for interfering with the proceedings of that country, etc., etc. This is forbidden. This is forbidden. These are the articles. Kant sincerely hoped that one day, this will be established. One day, people will resort to international peace, and peace will reign. This is Kant's sincere belief. Because you see, Kant says that actually this is not the case, but this is the ideal. And ideal is that which guides. Ideal must be there, otherwise you cannot be guided in your operations, in your proceedings, in your progress without the help of ideal. So the ideal of peace is there, that will be there to guide you. Not that you get the thing, ideal will never be fully realized, but you believe that it will be realized one day or other. Maybe you don't know when, but it will be realized. With that belief, you will have to progress. We will have to progress. This is human nature. This is human essence. This is human essence. Otherwise, you don't progress at all. This is this is Kant's idea. And then one thing more. Why should it win? It will win because Kant will say that political laws, they are not self-sufficient laws. Political laws are the derivatives of the moral law. You say, now comes metaphysics also, a little bit of metaphysics. Political laws are the derivatives of, are the conclusions, are the consequences of the moral law, and the moral law is universal. The moral law is universal. Why the moral law is universal? Because the moral law is the law of reason. Because the moral law is the law of reason, and reason is the same in every human being. Reason is the same in every human being. Naturally, your body color, your nationality, etc., etc., do not affect your position. The position of the laws of the state, they are universally applicable to all human beings. Since they are universal, they are also necessary. They are universal means they are also necessary. Without exception, they will have to be adhered to. Universal and necessary. Since they are universal and necessary, they are one and the same. So don't think that the laws of one state will interfere or will violently clash with the laws of another state. But Kant believes that the laws of all the states should coordinate with each other, should harmonize. Should not clash. At this moment, this may sound utopic, but Kant sincerely believes that one day this will be the reality. One day this will be realized. This will be realized. So, for 1 hour I have delivered, but I have a little to deliver it only, say for 5 or 10 minutes. Then I will ask you to raise your questions, and I believe that introductions will be our best guide for further developments, further thinking. Kant wrote 2 works, again, Kant had 2 works. One, Critique of Judgment. This is on aesthetics. Kant's Critique of Judgment, this is on aesthetics. And it is said that it is the greatest work on aesthetics. In the present world, it is the greatest work on aesthetics. Critique of Judgment. And then we have that work, Religion Within the Limits of Reason Alone. There he has dealt with the problem of evil. The problem of evil. Where does the evil come? What is the source of evil? And in Kant's belief, only moral evil is the evil. And you are responsible for your own deed. So you invite the evil. The moral reason is the creator of the evil. The moral reason is the curator of evil. Only the moral reason can do away with the evil. So the only evil that is possible is the moral evil. In the religion book he says that the only evil is moral evil. So it is not that you don't know that the earthquake has taken place and there is a very big devastation, that the flood has taken place and there is a very big devastation. You say that this is evil and this evil is the consequence of some other designs. No, Kant says that no, there is no such evil. There is only one evil, that is moral evil, and it is within your power to rid yourself of that evil. So that is the supreme message of religion within the limits of reason alone. And again, as I told you earlier, the religion within the limits of reason alone, Kant says that religion dominates over morality. No, morality is the ground for the possibility of religion, and not that religion is the ground for the possibility of morality. Actually, morality is the ground for the possibility of religion. So, the evil that you talk of in religion is the moral evil, and not the evil created by a Satan or an uplifter called God. Neither God is necessary, nor the Satan is necessary. What is necessary is faith in yourself. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in your own reason. This is the message of Kant's moral philosophy. The religion within the bounds of reason alone. And then in a nutshell, I explained to you Kant's idea of beauty. That is again a corollary of his moral theory. Otherwise, I would not have explained it. I would not have mentioned the subject. Kant's theory of beauty is a corollary, is a derivation of his theory of morality. You see, the theory of beauty. Beauty, a Critique of Judgment, that book, Critique of Judgment, it's a very big treatise on. It is a very big work and very important work on aesthetics. This is divided into two halves. That is on beauty and other design. One beauty and the other design. One beauty and the other design. And again, there is, you see, beauty and then you see sublime. The beauty part is divided into mild beauty and the sublime. The sublime is something like, what do you say? You have read the Gita possibly, chapter 11. Chapter 11 you have read that is on the sublime. Divi Sujya Sahasrasya Bhaved Jugapaduttita Jadiva Sadrishisya Sat Bhasastesya Mahattana Drakshta Karalani Chati Mukhani Dashtaiva Kala Nalasannivani. This is the theory of the sublime. This is the sublime. Kant's book is divided into mild beauty and the sublime. And every beauty, in beauty, what does it say? How the beauty works? The beauty works by reflecting my own mind into the object. I say the Taj is beautiful, means the Taj is something like a mirror which mirrors my mind. So the object gives the occasion to reflect my inner self. The moral reason is the reason of the inner self, and the moral reason is reflected in the things beautiful. I perceive the beauty, and beauty is the symbol of morality. Therefore, beauty is the symbol of morality. I perceive beautiful objects means I perceive myself, I perceive my connections with the ultimate. Ultimately, I am not a small being, I am not a mortal being. Ultimately, I am an immortal being. There is a connection, the bridge between the phenomenon world and the noumenon, between the thing in itself and the thing of appearance. The connection is there, and that connection is bridged insofar as I perceive beauty in the object. Otherwise, beauty is not written in the object. Beauty is what I perceive. I perceive myself in the object. Beauty is the connecting link between myself as a phenomenal being and the supreme noumenal being, the thing in itself. This is an echo of Rabindranath's idea of বড় আমি এবং ছোট আমি. ছোট আমি is, in Kant's language, is willkur, and বড় আমি is wille, the will, freedom, free will, and this is the will incarnated in flesh and blood. The will that is incarnated in flesh and blood. Because of my very peculiar position, I live in two worlds. I am a citizen of two worlds. But as a citizen, while I am a citizen of two worlds, I am in a position to feel that I am one and the same. I feel that I am one and the same insofar as I perceive beauty. Insofar as I perceive beauty.